Ross Solomon!
Greetings YouTube, welcome to 0AD Newbie Rush. I'm Jim Cogan, and as promised in my most recent video, today I'm going to give you a bit of a guided tour of the latest version of the Boon GUI mod for 0AD. This is something of an update, as I have covered an earlier version in an older video, but quite a lot has changed since then. I've been a bit slow in keeping up with recent iterations of the mod, but as you will have seen in that previous video, I've now updated to version 2.4, and that is what we're going to be taking a bit of a deep dive into today. But first of all, for the uninitiated, what is the Boon GUI mod? Well, if you've watched any of my previous 0AD commentaries, you'll be familiar with it. It's the thing responsible for all the useful stats overlays that give me in-depth information on how all the players in the game are doing, what their population and resource counts are, and what they're producing and what upgrades they've got and so forth. But there is quite a bit more to it. The mod was created by a great friend of the channel, Langbart, with assistance from a few other collaborators, and you can find out everything about it, download, and even contribute to future versions by checking out Langbart's long-standing forum thread on the 0AD forums, link in the video description. Okay, let's give it a bit of a road test. We'll first of all start off with looking at how it plays in a game. Be aware, the first indication that you've got the Boon GUI mod is when you start a game and this happens. I'm not going to lie, that scared the shit out of me the first time that happened because I always have the music switched off. But yeah, you get some nice music. To begin with, I believe the origins of the Boon GUI mod started more of as an accessibility aid. So the first thing you will notice if you're new to it is the increased size and readability of the GUI. Everything is just a little bit bigger. The mini-map especially is a lot easier to negotiate. The colours are more vivid. You'll notice this more when we look at Spectator mode, but there are much fewer clashing colours than there are in the sort of the vanilla version of the game. Resources are also easier to identify, so you zoom right in on the metal, you will see these slightly altered textures and glittery things on the metal. Only on the bigger deposits of metal though. The smaller ones I still get mixed up with deposits of stone, but you just click on them and you can find out what they are. Berries and food resources also, it's not the wacky colours that we got in previous versions of the mod. I think anybody who watched Alpha 24 and early Alpha 25 games will have remembered the blue fruit trees and stuff like that. But they're much more in keeping with the surroundings, but they're much easier to spot. So you can see the berries, you can see the little fruit trees, and all the things that you can gather food from. You also get on individual units and buildings these additional stats that give you a lot more information about the strength and capabilities of your units and buildings. So they're, in this case, the CC, the resistance to crush, pierce and hack damage, and it's the same with units. You get their aggressive qualities as well, and you get a little hover over link just to see all of their stats at a glance without having to jump into the full sort of structure tree or open up a window to look at the unit itself. So it's pretty good, but where things absolutely shine is when you see it in spectator mode. So let's hop into a game that we're spectating now and we'll check that out. And here we are, and you can see things look a tiny bit different. We have all of the players listed here with their matching colours, all in quite clear to read text. It's white text on the colour of the team's background. This is like only the second or third time I've even really sort of had chance to study it, and I'm finding this quite reasonable to read. The text is huge. It's certainly a massive step up from what we used to have before with the old F-God mod, and then that got transplanted into the AutoSim mod with a tiny little stats overlay down in this corner. Up here it feels a lot more logical. You get a whole load of stats as well. Now, when we were developing this mod early on, I had a lot of consultancy, and I tended to get Langbart to stretch all these columns so I could see the whole name. But you end up taking up so much real estate on the screen, so it's quite a short sort of bit of space for the characters. But hovering over them will give you the full name and rating which team they're on. So it is quite easy just to get that, especially when you're doing a commentary like me. You can find out who they are. You can find out their civ by hovering over the emblem over here. We can obviously see their rating too. And over here we get the phase markers with the name of the phase. So it actually says it's the village phase. We can see it's phase 1 in Roman numerals. And you get a countdown, and this sort of fills up in green when people are phasing up, so you can see where everybody is at a glance. Likewise, you get all the tooltips for population, food, wood, stone, metal, and moving down you can actually see what the population is, what the pot max is, and this flashes when somebody is completely housed or pot capped. You can also see in the resources how much somebody's got, how many gatherers are assigned to that resource, and the income per 10 seconds on average, and that is reflected through all of the resources. Moving down here you have the individual breakdown of units. Now this is not the full breakdown that you might have been familiar with, certainly from late Alpha 24, when we got very experimental with additional overlays and number of ranged troops and champions and everything. This is quite cut down. You get female citizens, infantry and cavalry, and I believe this includes champions as well, so they're all counted within that. More on how you can actually see the full breakdown of somebody's army a little bit later on when we look at the side panel here, but just focusing on this bit at the start, you also get the upgrade section, and hovering over it you see which upgrades they've got and the number of them. In this blank column, this is later on, these are the military ones, and I believe it also now shows will to fight as well, which the previous version of the mod that I was using for a lot of my recent commentaries didn't, so that's really cool. You won't see much in this one at the moment. This is we're right at the start of a game, but this is the kills, the losses, and the kill death ratio. As you can see, 3 for 0 gives an infinity kill death ratio. That's me. I was obviously having a good game in this one. Spoilers, I'm not broadcasting this game, but I believe I lost it quite badly with my team. But it makes me look good for a few seconds there. But these are all really good. They're blank until somebody actually kills something, and then you get this full breakdown of how people are doing. And finally, on the far end, you get this little coloured circle. This actually reveals whether somebody has got the cartography upgrade. So the ability to see everything that your allies on your team can see. This is a hollow circle when people haven't taken it, but as you can see from the tooltip there, it fills out when somebody has. Typically we're looking at it and nobody's got it. Perhaps a somewhat underrated addition to the upgrades list. It's one that I tend to go for but often forget in team games. Nobody has deemed it important at this stage in this particular game, but you'll see these illuminate as it goes further on through a match, especially a big team game like this one. Above that we have this little button which gets rid of this side panel on the side. Over here, this is basically the breakdown of production, current count of units, buildings and everything. This switches it on and off. As you can see from the tooltip, this gives something of a slight performance gain when it's switched off. I'm going to be honest with you, in a 4v4 like this, as soon as people get up to about 150 units, you are going to get lag, whether that is on or off, but you may get fractionally less. Sadly, when I'm doing commentaries, I have come quite to rely on this a bit, so switching it off probably not an option for me, but I may have to test it out in the next 4v4 I do to see if it does dramatically improve things. I get the feeling it's probably going to be a very fractional difference if I switch it off. at a critical point in the game, but I do rely on this quite a bit. Let's have a look at those settings. So the first one we have here is obviously the production, what everybody is producing or upgrading to right this second. I'm making rather paltry 1 infantry unit there, but I'm getting shed loads of upgrades where proper players are getting lots and lots of units. Stop looking at me now, I'm all self-conscious in this one. It started off so well, but moving further down, we have the makeup of everybody's army here, all the units they have, the infantry, the type of infantry, whether they are ranged, whether they are things like slingers, skirmishers, archers, etc., or if they are melee infantry, the cavalry, and the female citizens, and the breakdown of them here. Moving down, we have buildings. So this is civic buildings. Everybody's got a CC, and these are how many houses everybody has at the moment. Military buildings. This will essentially be barracks and stables. Later on, you will see fortresses. Eco buildings, so farms and storehouses. Oops, move down again. Defensive buildings, that'll be towers and the such like. We don't do defensive in this game. Economy upgrades, so these are all of the gathering and farming upgrades that you can get. The military upgrades, which is far too early to be. Nobody's got a blacksmith, nobody's even phased up in this, but you will see who has basically forged ahead and gotten all of the deadly military upgrades. And finally, other technologies. So somebody here has gone for the fertility festival upgrade. This is everything else that isn't covered by one of the other upgrade screens, and you can see them all as you go. You get the same sort of breakdown of the stats and abilities of each individual unit. Sadly, don't get it if you select multiple ones. You have to be focused on an individual, but you can see all of their resistance. You can actually see as you upgrade your troops the difference that it's making. It's very, very good for sort of analysis after the fact. You can see why seemingly less troops managed to massacre your entire army, and you probably turn out that they've just been massively souped up with upgrades, and you can see which individual elements have been upgraded. I really do need to start focusing on that more in my replays, because I barely look at any of this. That's usually because there's so much happening in a game, but it's something that I am keen to look at. And that is basically most of the functionality of the Boon GUI mod. There are some extra options. If you go into the options on your game, anybody who watches a lot of 0AD Newbie Rush will usually see me going into the graphics settings to switch off and switch on the unit silhouettes, but you'll notice there is this extra Boon GUI menu here where you can tweak a few things to do with zoom and scroll speed. I've not really fiddled with this, but you can change a few little things, the color intensities, and how you can manipulate the map specifically when you're playing. I haven't really gone in for this at all. I'm quite happy with the sort of standards, but it's quite nice to have the ability to do all that stuff. So it's all pretty cool. I like this. I will probably investigate it more, but I think for the purposes of how I use it, a lot of this will stay default. And that is basically the Boon GUI mod. You've all seen it, you all know what it does. We've just got somebody phasing up here. You can see that happening as we go. Nobody's still got the military upgrades yet, so I can't show you that, but it's all pretty cool and very, very useful. Everything is tool-tipped. You can also, one thing I found whilst I was doing a commentary the other day, if you're looking where a certain unit is, you can click on them. If you can't find, say, where this person's cavalry unit is, it goes straight to them, or a specific building. Like I want to look at their 2 barrackses. They're right next to each other, they're right here. And it will jump to these from sort of all over the map and select them both. It's very, very cool and very, very clever and extremely useful. Without it, 0AD Newbie Rush videos really, I don't think would be possible. I'd be completely stuck. I think early in Alpha 24, you might have seen me attempt to do a commentary without one of these type mods when we were between mods. Trying to get mods to work in Alpha 24 in the early days was a bit of a struggle. But it's a breeze with a mod like this, and this latest version is incredibly slick, certainly much more slick than the one I was using up until that last video that I've done, and I hope it continues, and I'm absolutely hoping that when Alpha 26 comes out there will be a Boon GUI mod that I can also use for that as well. Right, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed looking at it. I would urge you to get the Boon GUI mod. It absolutely enhances the game when you're playing. There are some limitations to the GUI in the vanilla game. And if you, like me, I'm short-sighted as anything, making the icons bigger and making the map clearer really does help. And if the truth be told, it should be part of the vanilla game, to be honest. Accessibility is kind of key with it, but for analysis and spectating, there is nothing better at the moment for giving you the kind of breakdown and the insight into what the players are doing and how they're doing it. If you want to analyze your own games, or if you want to have a go at doing commentary like I do, you can waffle about stuff for 40 minutes at a time whilst people are killing each other in an RTS game, this is the mod for you. It's really cool. Massive thanks again to Langbart for producing this. It really does show you what a bit of imagination and a bit of inventiveness can achieve in an open source game to really enhance the game for the community. It's a great mod, and it's absolutely essential to what I do, and I would urge you to go check it out if you haven't already. That's all we got time for. I hope you enjoyed that one. Possibly at some point in the future, when there are further updates on it, we'll do another one of these. But for now, enjoy the Boon GUI mod. Check it out. It will open your eyes to a lot of things, especially analysis. I will see you in the next video. Take care, and bye for now. This is something of an update, as I have covered it in an earlier version. This is something of an update, as I have covered it in an earlier version in an older video, but quite a lot has changed since then. I've been a bit slow in keeping up with recent iterations of the mod, but as you'll have seen in that previous video, fucking hell. Be aware, first, well, that was a fucking shit show, wasn't it? Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, please do drop a like on the video, subscribe, and click the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content. Remember, you can now download the replay files for the 0AD matches that I cover if you want to view them yourself within the game via the 0AD Newbie Rush replay archive. Links to that and a whole bunch of other great 0AD related stuff are available in the video description, including how to submit your own game replays for inclusion in a future episode. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video.